Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure. I'm sorry not to be there myself. I have a tremendous respect for the Indian tech community and for all that's coming from the powerhouse that is India. This is a conversation about how exponential converging technologies are going to be engineering and creating the future faster than we can possibly imagine. Next slide, please. So we're living in a time where faster, cheaper computers are the foundation upon which everything is being built. All exponentials, sensors, networks, AI, robotics, 3D printing, synthetic biology, AR, VR, blockchain. And it used to be that you could reinvent and disrupt an industry with any one of these technologies. But today, it's really the convergence of 2, 3, or 4 of these technologies coming together, reinventing business models, where the real opportunity is and the real excitement is. Next, please. So next slide, please. Let's talk about exponential technology and what I call the abundance mindset. And one of the ideas that's important to realize is that exponential technologies are a force that takes whatever was scarce and makes it abundant over and over again. And in this world, we're using these technologies to uplift humanity in an extraordinary way. Anything we used to think of as scarce in our world, the job of an engineer, an entrepreneur, a tech company is to take that scarcity and turn it into abundance. Let me give an example in the next slide, please. What would you think of, next, please. What would you think of as more abundant? I'm sorry, that went one slide too many. If you can back up, please. What would you think of as more scarce than a perfect diamond? We have seen in the past year that the world's largest diamond and gem seller, Pandora, has gone from mining diamonds to human manufactured diamonds. We've taken what has been scarce in the world and are now in lab-grown diamonds able to make diamonds that are 2, 3, 4, 8, 10, 20, 40 carats in size. This is an example of a true diamond ring that's being vapor depositioned layer by layer, carbon atom by carbon atom. Next slide, please. So when we think about abundance, another field is what we're seeing in the realm of energy and the environment. Next, please. It was not too long ago, at least in the United States and parts of Europe, that we used to go and kill whales to get whale oil to light our nights. That was the source of energy for reading at night. Next slide. Then we started ravaging mountains and drilling kilometers under the ground, looking for coal and natural gas and oil. But we're living on a planet that is bathed in 8,000 times more energy from the sun than we consume as a species in a year. The energy is there. It's just not in usable form yet. And that's where technology turns scarcity into abundance over and over again. Next, please. So, for example, in the United States this year, over half of all new electric capacity is coming from solar. Next, please. What we've seen is we're matching that with a doubling of battery capacity year on year. So we doubled battery capacity in the US to 17%. Next slide. And what we're seeing is the production of massive amounts of batteries globally. So in the United States, there are some 13 gigafactories under development. In Europe, it's 20. 100 gigafactories deliver us enough battery technology to electrify the planet. Next, please. And the question is, why are there so many batteries and why are we driving electric so far? One of the reasons is that country after country, region after region, state after state has declared that you will not sell internal combustion cars anymore after 2035, after 2040, after 2045. What we're seeing is almost all the major automotive manufacturers have committed to electrifying their fleets. probably on the order of $500 billion being spent right now. And that demand is driving battery technologies and is transforming our energy infrastructure. Next, please. But what's really got the potential in the decade ahead, as we're going from natural gas and coal and to solar and wind, is the potential for fusion. So this past year, we saw a breakthrough announced by Lawrence Livermore Lab for achieving finally a net positive energy gain. Next slide. But the real opportunity is that today there are over 35 privately funded venture-backed fusion companies. Helion Fusion is just one example that expects to hit just by the end of next year, net energy positive production. So I want you to imagine within the decade having an abundance of energy. And we know there's a direct correlation between the energy of a nation or a region and the health and productivity of its people. Next slide, please. One of the other areas that we're focused on, besides producing clean energy, is how do we turn sustainability into a new energy or a new business sector? I run an organization called the XPRIZE Foundation. We put up large-scale global competitions. Our first XPRIZE was $10 million for private spaceflight, awarded in 2004. We've launched $300 million in competitions. And about 18 months ago, we launched an XPRIZE that I was able to get Elon Musk to fund for $100 million, asking teams to basically build technology to extract gigatons of carbon out of the atmosphere and drive new technologies through mineralization, through oceans, through land, through mechanical air capture. And we've had over 1,100 teams entering this competition to remove gigatons of carbon out of the atmosphere. Next, please. And I think the opportunity for it is huge, right? John Doerr, one of the epic venture capitalists, said climate change can bring more economic opportunity that's bigger than the internet boom. Bill Gates said carbon capture will create the next Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and the next 8 to 10 Teslas. It's a massive opportunity. Next, please. Let's talk about the abundance, not of energy, but the abundance of food, right? We live on a planet where we have to feed 8 billion people. There's 33 billion chickens on this planet. There's some billion cows and billion pigs. This is as people raise in their economic status and are looking for higher quality protein, instead of growing more pigs, cows, or chickens, the opportunity here is to go from a stem cell, from a chicken, to grow stem cell based meats. And what we're seeing is out of the United States, out of Israel, out of Singapore, the first companies that are producing lab grown, in this case, chicken breasts, that are 80% less greenhouse gases, that taste better, are lower cost, and more nutritious for you. Next, please. Here's an example of such a company, Upside Foods, just approved in the United States. Next, please. The other side of the equation, besides lab-grown protein, is vertical farmed vegetables. So we see one example here in San Francisco, is a company backed by Walmart. Next slide. This is out of the Netherlands, called InFarms, 75 different crops. Next slide. And the largest one of these vertical farms now is in Dubai, Eco1, 330,000 square feet. So we're reinventing where we produce the food and how we make it available without food transportation miles. Next, please. One of the areas that I track and I find fascinating is, in fact, the progression of robots, not just any kind of robot, but humanoid robots. Here's an example of a robot. It's a avatar. We just ran a $10 million avatar XPRIZE, asking teams to build a humanoid robot, which is operated at a distance by an individual in a VR helmet and a haptic suit that is able to control the robot that might be tens of miles or hundreds of miles away, helping someone in a nuclear plant or helping your aging mother or father when they need your help. The next slide is something announced earlier this year. It's Elon Musk. Let's take a listen to this. If you turn the volume up, please. Next slide. So there we are seeing a future of abundance. This is a company out of India as well, Makani Robotics, partnered out of Bangalore, partnered with Sophia to create really a humanoid robot powered by GPT-3 and eventually GPT-4. We're going to see this merger, this convergence again of robotics and AI entering every aspect of our lives. Next slide. Another kind of robot out there, of course, is autonomous cars. Every autonomous car company is slowly making progress. We see General Motors and their Cruise now operational in San Francisco. Next slide. We're seeing in Los Angeles, Waymo becoming operational this year. Next slide. In addition to, of course, autonomous cars, our flying cars, we're beginning to see partnerships between the major airlines, in this case, United Airlines, and this particular company. Next slide, Eve Air. And then, of course, we're seeing others, Delta partnering with Joby. And this is about transforming the last mile, or basically reinventing where we live and where we work. Next slide, please. Of course, the major conversation, I'm sure, at NASSCOM and around the world and in all of my events that I'm running is the coming AI revolution. Next slide. The question one should be asking is, why is it happening now, right? AI, the conversation around AI is 67 years old. The first conversation was at a Dartmouth conference in 1956. The first deep learning like algorithms were demonstrated in 1965. So why are we seeing really the last 3, 4, 5 years, this incredible transformation? Next slide. There are two reasons. The first is computation. We are still living 50 plus years later in Moore's law, where the amount of computation is doubling every 18 to 24 months consistently. All of the rumors of the death of Moore's law have not materialized. We're finding out now how to get to 3-dimensional chips and soon neuromorphic chips. And so in addition to computation, next slide, it is the massive amount of labeled data. So global data is doubling every 2 years. By 2025, we'll have 175 million megabytes. And this is labeled data that the AI is able to learn from and drive these large language models. Next slide, please. The other reason, a third reason, is that the cost to train AI systems has gone down 99.5% in the last 5 years. It's the convergence of computation, massive amounts of data, and better training algorithms that has really created this massive disruption, as if almost out of nowhere, that we're seeing today. And these trends are going to continue. Next, please. I love this quote from Sundar, who says, AI could have more profound implications for humanity than electricity or fire. And I believe he's absolutely right. Next slide. This is how Elon said it. He said, companies have to race to build AI or they will be made uncompetitive. Essentially, if your competitor is racing to build AI, they will crush you. Next slide. This is the way I think of it. There are going to be two kinds of companies at the end of this decade. Those that are fully utilizing AI and those that are out of business. It will be that black and white. What we're seeing is a massive investment, right? $160 billion annually in corporate AI investments and accelerating. It's not slowing down. We've seen, of course, ChatGPT and GPT-3, 175 billion parameters. You all know this already. Next slide. Of course, Google is not going to be far behind. I know the team there for the last 15 years. I guarantee you they're working hard. Next slide. Of course, we're going to see some version of whatever GPT-4 is, whether it's 100 trillion parameters or not. It's coming, and we'll see it this year. I think what's extraordinary is the speed at which we've seen the adoption of this technology, right? Going from 0 to 1 million users in 5 days, and from 0 to 100 million users in 2 months. And yet something in the future is going to exceed this adoption rate. We'll see what it is. Next slide, please. I did a podcast with Emad Mustak, who's the CEO of Stability AI, who's coming to my Abundance 360 Summit next month. And I thought this quote was very appropriate. He said, Google and Microsoft are all in on generative AI as core to their future. There is no, we are still early. These are trillion-dollar companies shifting their entire strategy and focus. Next, please. Elon's description of it is ChatGPT is scary good. We are not far from dangerously strong AI. And of course, Elon started OpenAI with Sam Altman. I remember it very clearly, to be able to get out ahead of AI, and started as a nonprofit. And when Sam took it to a for-profit, I guess we see now Elon announcing yesterday that he's going to go and compete against OpenAI. The AI wars have begun. I love this. Ray Kurzweil, who's a dear friend, a mentor, a co-founder with me at Singularity University, has for over 15 years predicting consistently that 2029 is the date at which AI will achieve human-level intelligence. Elon Musk, his prediction is 2025, that by 2025 will be vastly smarter than any human. And so the question is, what is your business like? What is our world like? All of us are going to have AI partners, AI co-pilots. If you're a physician, it's going to become malpractice for you to diagnose a patient without AI by your side. You're going to be, as a CEO, as a politician, as a lawyer, as an architect, we're all going to have AI co-pilots. Next slide, please. Let's talk about one of the areas of passion for me. Our health is our wealth. And we're seeing, again, just like AI, an explosion, if you would, in the amount of business and amount of breakthroughs in the biotech age reversal health span arena. One of the reasons is a massive amount of capital going in, $5.2 billion in 2022, a new high watermark going into longevity-related investments. Next, please. The breakthroughs coming fast. When the US government sequenced the first human genome, the Human Genome Project, it took 3 to 5 years. And billions of dollars. Craig Venter did it for $100 million in 9 months. Today, it's down to $200, not $100 million, $200, not in 9 months, in 7 hours. Next, please. In addition, what we're seeing besides reading genetics is a massive, incredible breakthrough in CRISPR, the ability to edit your genome, to edit individual letters or edit out and replace entire genes. We're seeing today 130 ongoing trials. And these CRISPR trials are not treatments for your disease. They're cures for your disease. We're curing beta thalassemia and sickle cell anemia and congenital blindness, and a whole range of different diseases. This is biblical in one sense. Next, please. We're seeing an FDA trial for a CRISPR cure of HIV ongoing today. Next. Next slide, please. We've seen the first vaccine against cancer. This is a vaccine that's just received FDA breakthrough status as a vaccine for those who have one of the most deadly forms of cancer, a melanoma. Next, please. One of my companies I'm very proud of, Vaccinity, has developed a vaccine that's in human trials right now to prevent heart disease and stroke by being able to go after the PCSK9 gene in the liver. There's a new generation of technologies to create replacement human organs. This is by a company in the United States called United Therapeutics, Martine Rothblatt, who's been able to engineer the genome of pigs to change the surface antigens so that, in fact, that pig has the same antigens on its heart, liver, lung, kidney that make it transplantable into a human because it is the same size organs. Next, please. This is just a few weeks old. An incredible scientist, professor at Harvard Medical School, Dr. David Sinclair, published in the journal Cell, 13 years of work demonstrating the ability to accelerate the age of mice and then reverse the age of mice. And the work that's going on right now in epigenetic engineering to be able to engineer the age and age reversal of a complex mammal or organism in mice today, going into dogs and then into humans. Next, please. This is one of the companies my venture fund Bold is invested in. We deploy about half $500 million into the field of longevity and AI. This is a company that is able to reverse the age of human skin by up to 30 years. This is in the Petri dish and today on human skin transplanted onto the skin of mice, but by reactivating collagen genes that have been silenced. Next, please. I want to play a short video. Listen carefully. This is Dr. George Church at Harvard Medical School and Dr. David Sinclair. And it's an incredible video about how long you may live. Please play the video.
Alive today will see no upper limit.
Imagine having a treatment, perhaps a viral delivery of these 3 genes when you're 45, everything's good, you reach 50, biologically you can measure that, and then you get a course of doxycycline. 3 weeks later, many, if not all, parts of your body are rejuvenated, and then you reset the clock.
One more, please. I'm not able, I just seeing a green screen on, okay. So thank you. This last slide here is one of the studies that was done at the London School of Business, Harvard, Oxford, shows that if we can extend the human lifespan by just 1 year, that would be worth $38 trillion to the global economy. It's an extraordinary impact of just 1 year of increased health span. Next slide, please. I'll close by saying the following three things. One, I believe we're living during the most extraordinary time ever in human history. Next. That the world's biggest problems are the world's biggest business opportunities. One of the things that I coach CEOs and entrepreneurs around the world truly is that if you want to become a billionaire, help 1 billion people. Next, please. And then ultimately, in the work that I do in longevity, life is short until you extend it. And the final slide, if you would like a copy of these slides, please share them with friends and family. You can download the slides with that QR link. I also put out a tech blog, one on exponential technologies every week and one on longevity. I think we have 3 or 4 minutes left. I'd be happy to take a couple of questions. Thank you so much, and honor to be there this morning.
Audience, can we have a mic over to that gentleman in the last segment? Mike, over there. Fire on the mountain, run, run, run.
I like your spirit.
Speed is of essence.
Hi,
yes.
Peter. Your books have been
Hello.
a big inspiration for us, and we look forward to your 4th book.
Thank you.
So what will be the difference made to education in all these large changes? Because that is one aspect which is not really changing, and with so many changes, that's where the change is most required.
Yes, I could not agree more with you. I think there are 2 industries that are going to be massively transformed, and they're not going to transform gracefully. They're going to transform disruptively, and that is health and educational systems. I think the COVID pandemic showed us how fragile they both are. And this is going to be AI, and it's going to be all of these converging exponential technologies that are going to enable these transformations. In the educational system, today it has been for the longest time, for hundreds of years, nothing has changed, right? It's still the instructor on the stage and a classroom of 100 kids, half are lost and half are bored. What we're going to be seeing very soon is really the convergence coming from artificial intelligence and VR, and a lot of generative AI coming together. I was speaking with Imad Mustak last week, and they're able to generate voice-driven scenery, photorealistic scenery in 1/30th of a second, which means you can create real-time video on the fly. So I want you to imagine a child who is interested in learning about India, and instead of reading about it in a book, is able to be transported there through a VR goggles and being able to see and live and experience, right? We learn very differently experientially. And when you see an NPC, a non-player character there, it is an AI that has all of the knowledge of someone from that time. And so you can have a conversation, you can walk around, you can live, you can play, and it's going to be, we're going to learn in a brand new different way where the AI knows what your favorite color is, your favorite sport is, your favorite movie star is. It knows your language skills, it knows everything, and it shapes an education for your needs. And this is both as a child, but also as an employee of a company. And so education is going to become experiential, driven by AI for your particular desires, abilities, capabilities, and your needs. And I, for one, can't wait for that disruption.
Yeah. One last question. We still have a minute. So, Debjani, and this will be a rapid fire. So, I'm going to get Debjani to ask in rapid fire and you to respond in rapid fire.
NASSCOM, I'm the one who had reached out to you on Twitter. So thank you so much for accepting to speak with us today. It was fascinating. My quick question, if the world had limited dollars, should we be spending on extending life or should we be spending it on removing poverty from the world?
So that's a great question. And of course, the answer is both. But what we're talking about is not extending life, it's extending health. And, it's about making people healthier. When people are healthier and more vibrant, they contribute more, they work more, they're able to do more for their families. Healthier people have less kids. Healthier people are able to uplift humanity in a better fashion. I don't think it's a limited sum game here. Of course, my mission in life is to uplift humanity, to help every man, woman, and child have access to all of the food, water, energy, healthcare, education possible. But the technologies that are going to give us extended health are going to be driven by AI. It's going to be driven by these demonetized, democratized technologies that will trend to zero cost and will be available to everybody, just like these devices are. It's a beautiful. It's true for where technology and everybody at NASSCOM, the work that's being done there is exactly the kind of work that's it's gonna help us reach this abundance vision. So thank you for the hospitality and having me there this morning. I look forward to being there in person in a future year.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Peter, for those insights.
For more interesting content, like, comment, and subscribe to our NASSCOM YouTube channel.